there, it's Lizzie All from Old Stables Crafts, Stamping Up Independent Demonstrator. Welcome to my YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I am bringing you a tissue box cover. This is using the Sweet Soiree Specialty Designer Series paper, which is gorgeous. It is all foiled and beautiful and lush. And I've also used some silver foil for this little bit at the top. So this happens to be a box of Kleenex tissues, which obviously I bought in a UK supermarket. I'm not going to give you specific measurements for this project because I want you to be able to make it for your box of tissues. So I will explain to you how I made it and how I measured it so that you can replicate it. So, in fact, hang on 1 minute. Just as this is an own brand, which does happen to fit. This was from a supermarket, which does happen to be the same size, but you get the point. This is how to make it. So I know they come in different sizes. So let us take this off for the moment and measure our box. So I have written it down, obviously. But I'm going to bring in my measurements and in fact, if I do it that way round, as the light is coming in that way, you might be able to see them. Apologies for my appalling writing. So I'm going to do this in imperial because, you know, I'm an imperial girl. So start with the top, and I'm measuring this as 4.5 inches. Now this is 4.5, so theoretically this is actually 4 3/8. You know what? Life is too short for difficult maths, and you don't want it too snug so that it has to force on and off. You want it to have a little bit of space. So I've written down 4.5 inches, and then if I measure this way, this is 4 inches, so I've written down 4. So tissue box top 4.5 by 4. Then you measure the height, and I have measured this at 4 3/4. 4 3/4. Then because I'm going to cut my top as one piece, and I'm going to have my seam coming up the top rather than going down the side. I'm going to have it coming from the side up. I'm adding 1/2 inch onto my height. So I've got 4 3/4 plus 1/2 inch, which I've written as 5, which of course it isn't. It's 5 1/4. Oh, it's pathetic, isn't it? 5 1/4. This means I have to check that I've actually measured my paper right. Which I have. Hurrah! So, happily. So my sides are 4 3/4 plus 1/2 inch for the top seam. The width of them is the same as these two measurements. So I've got, because this is more than 6 inches all the way around, I'm going to have to piece together. But it's fine, it's easy. So you measure, you've got your 4 plus your 4.5 plus 1/2 inch seam is 9. But I need that twice because I'm doing two sides as one. So I have two lots of 5 1/4. It really is sad. Of 5 1/4 by 9, or 9 by 5 1/4 times 2. And then we do the scoring. So that's what I've got. So let's now look at the lid. So that's that bit. And we're going to do the lid next, and then we'll do the scoring, and then we'll put it all together. Now, I apologise. This is the second time I filmed this. The first time, when I brought the scoring board on, everything fell over. So my camera, my tripod, everything just went flying. The language was not my best BBC English. I have to say I chipped paintwork. It was a disaster. So here's one I prepared earlier. But this is, as I say, using the Myths and Magic paper as opposed to the the Sweet Soiree. So this is Myths and Magic because I'm making this for a boy who may have a cold. So I've got the paper that had clouds on one side, and this has got stars on the other, and we'll come to the frame in a moment. So in order to find the right size hole for the top, and this is another reason why it's good to do this as the, sorry, I've got sequins, to do the top without the scoring, I used my ovals because this is an oval. So I literally just went, which one's the right size? And I would go for slightly smaller than your hole, rather than slightly bigger. Now this one does fit pretty nicely. It's slightly narrower, but that's fine, but it's about the right length. So this is the size that hole that I need to make. Then to find the centre, because you want it in the centre, I put my ruler down somewhere. I had it just now. How can I have lost my ruler? I had it 30 seconds ago. Oh, put my measurements on. Right, so I measured from corner to corner, and then from, we know this is 4 inches, so from, I marked the 2-inch mark and marked across there. We know this is 4.5, so this is going to be 2.25, and I marked across there, so I could find the middle. I even marked where the inch marks were here, out, so that it was easy to then line that up as near to the middle as I could get it. That's all I did, was measure. And again, I put marks on this, so on the 2 straight up and downs, as opposed to the diagonals, I measured and made marks so that I could line this up in the centre. Ran it through the Big Shot. Then for the frame, same size, and I just took the largest of the scallop ovals, and then using the Myths and Magic glimmer paper in the white, in this case, I ran it through the Big Shot again, and that's how I got my frame. So apologies for not doing it again, but I think hopefully that will make sense. And as I say, that's using the ovals. Now obviously if you've got a square lid or a rectangular lid, you could measure that, and you could do that with your trimmer. Or if you've got a circle, then use circle layering dies instead. So that is that. So now we need to do some scoring, and I'm slightly frightened about this because this is where everything went completely pear-shaped. So I'm going to bring this in very gently. Phew, because it was at that point that everything went off. Right, so with my pattern at the top and with my long side at the top, I am going to score at 4 inches and at 8.5. That then gives me my seam. Then I'm going to turn it so that the pattern, this is the top of it, this is the bottom because that's the way the pattern's going. I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Now, if you find it awkward doing the long 1/2 inch, your alternative is to do it that way and score at 4 3/4, or whatever your height measurement is. Okay, so I'll do it that way round on this one. It won't be totally accurate because I won't have cut these exactly the same, but I'll get over it. So again, 4 and 8.5. And this time I'm going to do it this way around, and I'm going to score at 4 3/4, that being the height of my box. So you want this narrow piece to be at the top of your pattern. Now very carefully going to take my scoreboard away and put it down. Right, hurrah! Okay, so as ever we're going to burnish our score lines. Now this is Specialty Designer Series paper, so it's lightweight card rather than paper, in my opinion. So it is card. There we go. So you do need to, I think basically what I'm saying is you do need to burnish it well, rather than just a light burnish. So there we are, those are our 2 pieces ready to go. I am going to treat this as card, not as paper, so I'm going to wedge everything. So I'm going to wedge there, and then I'm going to wedge my seams. I always wedge my seams whether they are paper or card, and I'm going to do that top and bottom. And then I'm going to wedge out here and here. So we've got that. And then I've got to do it again because obviously we have 2 pieces. So, wedge. Probably just cut across the corner here rather than doing it in 2 separate pieces. And then wedge and wedge. Okay, now I think it's easier to do this with tear and tape, so I'm going to use tear and tape. So I'm going to put tear and tape on all of the 1/2 inch pieces. So this I will actually go right to the end and then tuck the end bit over. And the same here. Now what you could do if you wanted is run your tape all the way along there and then do the wedging. It's a great way to get your scissors sticky, but they clean very nicely with an alcohol base, well, alcohol, or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. So it's not that awkward to get them clean. Tear and tape is sticky, by the way, so when we get to the point where, if you didn't already know, we are going to lose fast fuse, and as soon as it's out of stock in whichever region you are in, we've been told it's not going to be restocked. So we don't know yet if it's going to be replaced by anything, but in the meantime, if you're doing boxes and the like, this is your friend. This is very sticky. Otherwise we've got snail, we've got the multi-purpose liquid glue, so it's not as if we don't have other options. Right, what I would say is that when you're using tear and tape for any form of box construction, make sure it is properly stuck down by running your bone folder over it. And then all I'm going to do is take off my first seam and then tuck those little bits that were slightly over, tuck those to the inside so that those are trapped. And then this, I'm going to line up the bottom, and I accept there is a seam. And, you know, life happens. And then, same here. Just pull that little piece of tape in. And because this is a box, if I fold that to the middle and that to the middle, I will get my 2 bits to line up. This is where I do tend, because it is, you're sticking 2 pieces together, to just make sure everything is well burnished. Now, this is why I think that this is best made with tear and tape, because we've got to stick the lid on. The first one is easy. The first seam, for want of a better word, is easy because you've got a flat thing. So you take your lid and you line it up to your corner and your corner and stick. Then it gets less easy because you're now going to have to be a construction engineer. And I'm hoping you can see this reasonably well. So I'm just going to actually bring my tissues in, because this is easier if you put it over your tissue box, because then it doesn't wobble around. Actually, if I do it that way around, you'll be able to see the light will be easier for you. So take off our tear and tape and pull it so it is square. And then all you have to do is take the tear and tape off the other 2 sides and do it all in one go, might as well. Come on. There we go. Just tuck that in And there we are. So this is our little boy version. So let's pop this back onto the empty box. There are our 2 boxes covered in whatever designer series paper you want. So I would say that specialty paper is better. This would be lovely in the new foils. So when I designed this, I haven't got my new foils. This is the new Celebration, one of the new Celebration items. Remember, £45 spend and you get free product. If you spend £90, you either get 2 free products or one of the second level items. So this is 12 sheets and you get 3 of each of the dots, the flowers, the leaves and the stripes. These are beautiful to colour with either your blends or, I think even better, your Stamp and Write markers, because the blends will colour the foil, but the Stamp and Write markers, the foil will resist the ink, so then you can just wipe it with a piece of tissue paper and it comes off and leaves the foil. I did a card, one of my rainbow cards, used the stripe. But yes, so a tissue box covered in one of these would be lovely. And you could use one of the floral patterns and colour. And that would be really nice. So, let's bring these back in. There we go. So yes, Celebration, great time to shop. Remember, it finishes on the 31st of May. And as we get nearer to the 31st of May, some items will become unavailable because they won't restock. So do bear that in mind, that if you want a particular Celebration item, hanging around is not a good idea. So, yep, jump over to my online store and pop everything you want into your basket. If you are shopping and you're spending between £25 and £150, please use my hostess code, which is below. And if you do that, you will get a share of the hostess rewards. You'll also get, everyone who shops with me gets a thank you card and a thank you gift. And if you use my hostess code, you get some product as well. So do that. £45 multiples thereof, you get free Celebration stuff. But as I say, they are going to start running out as we get into March. So sooner rather than later would be a good idea. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's just down there. That would be lovely. If you are in the UK and you're not yet on my newsletter mailing list, if you sign up to that before the end of March, you will go into a draw for a little craft kit. Not quite sure what's going in it yet, but there will be all sorts of bits and pieces going in there. And I'll draw that at the beginning of April. If you've got a large order, think about the starter kit. There is no pressure. If you buy the starter kit, you do not have to demonstrate. You do not have to do YouTube videos. You can just buy for yourself. You just fill your boots with your starter kit and then get a discount. And during Celebration, you not only get your £130 worth of products for £99, which is the normal deal, and that's £99 delivered to your door. You get an additional 2 stamp sets of your choice from either the annual or the spring-summer catalogue. Could be a total of over 200 or almost £200 of products for £99 delivered. Plus you'll get a business starter kit, so if you did want to run it as a business, then you can. So that's catalogues, and you get them all. You get Celebration, you get recruiting catalogues, you get spring-summer catalogues, you get annual catalogues. These all cost demonstrators money, so it's a lot of additional stuff you're getting. So if you want to become a demonstrator, I would love to welcome you to my team. I've got a number of welcome packs ready to go. Notebook, bar of chocolate, a little colour chart, lovely little just stuff to help get you going. No product, just bits. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you understood how to do this for your box. As I say, the measurements won't... I will probably put the measurements for this on my blog just as a guide. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Sorry this has gone on rather a long time, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!